The main man, Randy Rude Boy Brown, who returns to action at UFC 274, where he's facing
Yeah,
Khaos Williams. Randy, great to sit down and chat. How are things with you today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Good to see you again, my man.
It's always a pleasure, my man. As I just said there, 6 months since we last spoke. So how are things with you, and how is life in the world of Randy Brown?
Everything's cool, man. Everything's cool. I'm on that grind, training, just preparing, getting ready for this bout. I'm feeling amazing. Yeah, everything's copacetic and how it's supposed to be.
Fantastic. First and foremost, before we ask about anything about the fight, I want to ask about an injury you sustained in the last fight with your toe. How are things on that front? Is it all fully healed, or any lingering effects of that front kick?
Ah, man, it took a while. It took a while to heal up, but it's 100% now. I had to get some surgery done. I had to reattach some ligaments and all that is. I did a number on myself with that one. You know what I mean? But all in all, it helped. It was better throughout camp. It forced me to work on some other things. Um, get back to my grappling. So yeah.
What was it like mentally when that happens? You're 60 seconds into a fight and you suffer a toe injury, dislocated your toe, if memory serves. What is it like? Because you've got a long time left in that octagon with a very dangerous opponent in Jared Gooden.
Honestly, you just gotta adapt and overcome in that moment. In that moment, you just gotta just do what you gotta do. It's crazy because the adrenaline kind of takes over, and you gotta it's fight or flight. So you gotta make a decision. Something
Mm.
takes priority. You know what I mean? There's two levels of danger. You know what I mean? So at that point, it's like is my toe or is this dude in front of me trying to knock my head off? So yeah, priority. I think Jared Gooden in that moment took priority over the toe.
A lot of people in that scenario would shoot for the double leg and maybe try and stall out a 30-27 decision. But you never even went for the takedown, if memory serves. So what was the mindset going in?
I don't think that would have been the smartest thing actually, because if you grapple, my toe is always if I'm on the ground, my toe will always be
Of
pushing.
course.
I'm gonna need the grind. If anything, I was hoping he didn't shoot because that would force me to have to defend the takedown and dig
Yeah.
my feet into the ground. So I was cool. I was cool with just standing up. Even though I couldn't turn over and push off my back foot, I just kind of did everything was kind of just arm punches and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
and plus the adrenaline helped a little bit. So afterwards, it was couldn't even walk, but we had to cover it up as much as we could.
Yeah. You mentioned stand up there, and it's something I wanted to touch on. I saw you posted a picture the other day on your story with uh, light heavyweight world champion Joe Smith Jr.
Yes, sir.
What was it like getting working with the light heavyweight champ?
Ah, man, that dude. I've worked with him a few times before. Now I've helped him win his world title. You know what I mean? I was one of his main training sparring partners for his last fight, and going into his next fight, we're helping each other out. It's always good working with Joe Smith, man. Joe Smith is the hardest puncher I've ever felt in my life. I'll tell you that. You know what I mean? And there's no MMA fighter that I'm ever gonna see,
Yeah.
that's gonna be throwing the type of heat that man is throwing at me, and the type of volume. So I do pretty well. I do pretty well. We push each other, and I think that's gonna pay huge dividends. But Joe Smith is a dog. He's an absolute dog, and I feel sorry for Better Biv. I know Better Biv got all the hype right now, and I think he's the guy, but Joe Smith is coming.
How long have you been working with Joe, and obviously you're going to be backing your man to face better beat, but he is the underdog going in. So how do you potentially see that fight playing out?
Better Biv is slick, but Joe is just, he's relentless, man, and I think Joe has something that you can't teach, and that's heart,
Mm.
determination, just that forward pressure. He doesn't mind. Not to say that this is a great thing, but he doesn't mind to take one to give you one. You know what I mean? So he can take one. I'm not sure people could take his one. You know what I mean? Most people can't take it. So um, I see him. I see him actually shocking the world, man. Coming forward and just lots of volume and just doing what he does.
Yeah. Well, we talk about one power puncher to another. Let's talk about your upcoming opponent, Khaos Williams, who we look at his UFC resume. We know he's got power in his hands, as do you. But we do know Khaos is a power puncher. So,
Sure.
so what's it like going in, and what are your opinions on Williams as an opponent?
I think he's dangerous. I think he's a bomber, man. I think he touches you. That boy got NyQuil in his hands, right? But, the thing is, you got to hit something. right? You need something to hit. And when you, as we all know, going up against me, it's like I'm not an easy target to hit. You know what I mean? And he has big power. He's known as the power puncher. I'm not really known as the power guy, quote unquote. But what I got is precision. What I got is precision, accuracy, and skill. So I'm I would prefer to have that than just power. So your power can't count for anything if it can't hit nothing. So I'm gonna be sniping them all night.
Is it bull versus matador a little bit in some aspects? Yeah,
absolutely.
What is it like going in? Because as I mentioned there, he is a power puncher. As I say, we've got a good couple of knockouts, but I know you pride yourself on your slickness. Even if you look at your Instagram handle, touch and go. We talked about that last time. So how do you kind of prepare for a power puncher? What's kind of the focus in camp, if you like?
The focus in camp is just to be me and just continue to be slick. Like you said, I take pride in being a slick striker. I just try to develop my game and continue to be the best me that I can be. And the thing is, when I go into these fights, don't worry so much about how good my opponent is and the things that he's good at. I'm gonna focus on developing me and make him have to worry about the things that I'm good at and what I bring to the table. So it'll be very discouraging for him, I think, when he throwing those big power bombs and they're not landing on anything. You know what I mean?
Can I ask you a difficult question? This might be a question you may struggle to answer, but I'm going to ask you it nonetheless.
Okay.
As I mentioned, you're one of the slickest strikers at the top end of this welterweight division.
Hmm.
How do you build your slickness? How do you become even more slick, and how have you developed that over the years of the game?
Secret is in the sauce, man. The secret is in the sauce. I think it's just personality, and just as we know, I started out boxing, so I kind of had a specific style when I was boxing, and just the coaches that I have, just my preparation, and the focus on that is sparring with guys who are big power guys that are looking to hit home runs. You know what I mean? Typically, a lot of MMA people don't want to spar as much. The whole culture of MMA is now these days have been, let's spar and take care of yourself. And I think I'm the opposite. I love to spar as much as possible because I work on not taking as much damage. You know what I mean? The guys that don't want to spar, the guys who are constantly banging and it sucks to spar because they keep getting hit over and over and over. That's good and all, but for me, I focus on my slickness in sparring and being able to not get hit when I go against these big punches, so I like to spar. I spar as much as possible. And I just keep that in mind, I think about not getting hit and trying to try new things and be creative as much as I can. And I think that's where slickness comes from, whereas a lot of times people just focus on being in shape and being able to get out output and punch and go crazy and go hard. I look at it as art and I try to just make it as pretty as I can,
That was a better answer than what I was expecting, to be quite honest. I thought it was quite a difficult question, but you answered it fantastically. Are you a hard sparrer or are you more of a technical guy when it comes to sparring?
I think it's important to have both. I've never really gotten into and I speak about this on my podcast a lot, actually. We kind of got this ongoing debate with me in my chat. The thing is, how I see it is I believe that if you spar technical sparring all the time, the things that can happen is you start to develop this false sense where you don't really you're not really getting the true neurological response that your body needs to see 100 miles per hour fastballs when punches are coming at you in real time. You know what I mean? You're used to guys pulling punches and working, and you look beautiful, and the concept is great to develop skill. It's wonderful, but you can never replace that for sparring because now you go up against a guy who's actually sparring hard and going live, who's doing the thing. Now, when those punches and kicks come at you, you're wondering, you can't see shit. You can't respond properly. Your eyes are not adjusted to seeing those things coming. You're flustered, So I think that it's important to do both, not take one for the other. And it's also important to not do too much hard sparring. It's not, but it's important to have a strong dose of it.
Is it almost being calm in the chaos a little bit, in kind of being comfortable there?
Absolutely. And you can see it when guys are doing it. And you guys that do it in the gym, you can see it. Guys are throwing just bombs at them, flurries, and they're just calm, picking shots off, moving, barely breathing, skipping out of the way, and looking for their openings. It's a beauty to watch.
Yeah.
Guys at that high level that do that.
Yeah, I'd just like to talk about as well because it's close to a year to the day of the Cowboy fight. I think it's a couple of weeks out, but
Oh, wow.
it's also your return to pay-per-view. The Cowboy fight was probably, I think a lot of Randy Brown fans would say, the best win of your career in some aspects in terms of the performance. But how excited are you to get back to the Arizona crowd?
I am, man. I can't wait. I can't wait. I believe we might be the featured bout on the prelims, and that's an honor, man. That's the second most important spot, I believe, to the main event. So I'm excited and I can't wait. I'm happy the UFC entrusts me, to go out there and put on me and Khaos to put on the type of performance, that'll start the card off and get people excited for the pay-per-view. So I'm taking full advantage.
I checked the records, and you've never fought in Arizona. So have you ever been to the state? And if so, do you have any memories of going there, perhaps?
I do. I have been. I went. The UFC sent me there before the PI was developed. It was Exos. We went there for Exos. Something similar to it's like a training facility, something similar to the PI. And I met a lot of great fighters. I met Cain Velasquez. I was there with them. I was there with shout out Cain, Free Cain, by the way. And I was there with Cub Swanson and a few other guys and girls, and we got a lot of good work. We got a lot of good work together, and had some good times. We went out, got some drinks, it was just cool. It was good memories from Arizona. Arizona was beautiful, and I can't wait to go back.
Would you ever? I know you've never fought in England, and obviously we've just seen UFC London, the fantastic cards. I've got to ask because you're my guy. Would you ever set sail and maybe fight over in the UK?
Across the pond, absolutely, man, absolutely. And you already know the Jamaican influence in London is nuts, So I would love to go there and put on a show.
Maybe one day you could do Rocky versus Rude Boy, Jamaica versus Jamaica.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man. One day we're climbing. I'm coming.
Where do you feel like this fight gets you in the division? Do you think it could? Obviously, I think we spoke over message. It could be the fight that gets you back into the top 15. Do you kind of agree with that now, a couple of weeks out?
Yeah, I do. I think this is a guy that's he's on his way up, and he's proven himself. Battle tested, as he says, and I think the UFC put this matchup together. I think one of us, the winner of this, should break into the rankings and start to make some strides. So yeah, I think that this is an important matchup.
I don't know if you follow football or any kind of team sports, but it feels a little bit like a semi-final in the sense of whoever gets the win takes the big step forward into the top 15 or certainly a big fight.
When you say football, you're saying soccer, right?
I mean soccer.
Yeah, okay.
Do you watch soccer?
Definitely. I used to, not as much as I should. I was watching it when my reggae boys was in there doing it up, but ever since I kind of just fell back a little bit.
What was your team? Did you have a team?
Reggae boys, man. The reggae boys from Jamaica.
Oh yeah, of course. My mistake. I'm a Liverpool fan, so I don't know if you follow it at all, but we're doing very well at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, enough about team sport. That's not what we're here to talk about. Talk about you. I wanted to mention it very, very quickly as well, and I know that you touched on it with Paul Felder in the cage, but your last fight, your dad was obviously in attendance to watch you fight for the first time in the UFC, I believe. So obviously a couple of months away from that, a couple of months away to reflect. What was that kind of experience like for you?
That was cool, man. That was cool. He's been away for a long time, so it was emotional, you know what I mean? It was exciting, and I just wanted to show him, that this is what I've been doing and this is what I do, he's always trying to give me advice and stuff about fighting. He used to box back in the day and all that. And it's like, so I had to show him this is what I do. It's not what you think, so I just wanted to show him, man, show him what I can do and, what he's missed. And I just wanted to give him a good time, show him a good time and show him what I've been up to. You know, we talk about it a lot, so it was the first time for him to really get to see it. So that was cool.
Was it planned in advance? Did you get him tickets a couple of weeks prior to the fight? How did that
No, he
kind of
wasn't
work?
there in the audience. He was able to watch it for the first
Oh, of
time. You
course,
know,
my
because
mistake.
before, you know, they can't watch it. You know, so
Yeah.
this was his first time being able to see it. So
Wow.
that was cool.
Wow. Have you spoke with him since about it? Has he give
Yeah,
you any
I
feedback maybe?
he loved it. I loved it. He was so proud, man. He was so proud. You know, he gets emotional too. So yeah, he was struggling, you know. He was just so happy. He was just so
Yeah.
happy, you know, just to see it. And yeah, I spoke to him yesterday. I speak to him damn near every day. So, you know.
Yeah, fantastic to hear. Fantastic to hear. It was, as I say, obviously us having a little bit of a relationship, and then hearing you say that on the mic was a very heartwarming moment. You know, and especially
Yeah.
after the win, it mightn't have been as nice if maybe Gooden had landed a nice shot and maybe put you on your butt, but thankfully you never, and you got that 30-27.
Exactly. You know what should have happened is that front kick. He should have been out on that front kick, but I don't know, man. Shout out to Jared Gooden. I want to know what he's eating because I need to have some of that because that brother is titanium. Because anyone else I hit with that front kick, 9 times out of 10, they just waking up.
Yeah, yeah. Do you see similarities between Gooden and Khaos Williams in terms of skill set? And is that kind of a good natural progression to go from Gooden into Williams for this next fight?
I actually do. I actually do. I think Gooden and Chaos are very similar, but I think Chaos is a lot more dangerous
Yeah,
for the sheer fact that he throws more volume. Gooden most mainly threw one or two punches at a time, but Chaos will dart and peel off a six-piece combination. You know what I mean? But even within that, I think there's openings. But Chaos is extremely dangerous, a lot more dangerous than Gooden, but similar.
yeah, of course. I'd just like to very quickly ask as well, and this is a question I love to ask people. We're obviously at the let's say the end of April 2022. What do you
Mhm.
want to accomplish in the next 12 months? What are the goals in your career in the next year?
Man, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. But I know where I'm headed. You know, ultimately. Um, so the goal is to obviously break into the rankings in the next 12 months for sure. And I think a win here does that for me. If not the next one for sure. I want to fight a big name. You know, well, big enough. We'll see how the landscape looks. You know, in the UFC. But I have someone in mind, and just continue to win. Just continue to win and take it one fight at a time, man. One fight at a time, and just start to leave my mark, you know, and just show people. I want to show fans that I want fans to realize that I'm here and I've been here. You know what I mean? Even though I've stumbled from time to time, but I want to show that I've been here and you guys have been overlooking me. You know what I mean? So that's all. That's what I want to show.
Don't include me in that. You said we've been overlooking you. That's
No,
not
no, no,
that's not
not you.
me.
I already know. I already know. Not you, not you. I'm talking to the rest of the fans out there.
What was your record when you joined the UFC? Was it 6-0 or 7-0, something like that?
6-0.
6-0.
6-0.
That's really quite amateur or quite early on in your career to join the big leagues. So,
Yeah.
do you think maybe some of the stumbles that you've had, some of the losses that you had, have been you kind of learning on the job? Because you are only 18 fights into your career, if memory
Yeah.
serves.
Absolutely. 100%. If I can go back in time, I would have taken my time before I came to the UFC and
Yeah.
developed outside a little bit more. But you know, it is what it is. I'm here now, and I've learned on the job. I have, you know, and coming in that early, a lot of people don't make it, especially in this day and age. Maybe back in the day, you know, when UFC was a little newer, you know, but in this day and age, you come in that early, a lot of guys don't really make it. You know what I mean? And my peers or my class per se that came in, a lot of those guys are not around anymore.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Or if they are, they're not really doing much. You know what I mean? So um, I think that I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm
Yeah.
doing all right. You know what I mean? And I'm still learning. I still got a lot to show.
Yeah.
And one thing for sure that's undeniable, and I say this damn near every interview, but if you're watching or paying attention to my career, you see it and you know 100% that I am getting better every single time. Every single time I step out there, I'm like a brand new person, and I take pride in that. So I'll see what's what on May 7th.
I'm not saying this because I've got you on camera now, but I think that is something you can see on the tape. You can see a very natural progression. And I think even these last couple of fights, I think, to be honest, the Luque fight never went your way, but I thought that was an excellent performance until it kind of wasn't at the end type of thing. But these last two fights, especially, and at kind of how different they've been, the first round finish over Oliveira, and then going the full 15 minutes and kind of outclassing Gooden, is only speaking to what I'm kind of saying about how you can see how much you're improving fight over fight.
For sure. And the crazy part is, I didn't really speak about it much, but even the Luque fight, I kind of just took that on the chin, but I was compromised. I went into that fight completely compromised, The whole training camp thing was terrible, and my weight cut was just hellacious. The weight cut was so jacked up, and I couldn't even rehydrate properly. Everything was just jacked up. And backstage going into that fight, warming up, my heart rate was through the roof. I was gassing out on the pads backstage before I went into the fight, So going into that fight, I knew I was going to get tired. I knew I was going to have a difficult time. I still stepped in there and faced the fire, And to have the performance that I did against a guy, who is, at the top of the division, closer to the top end of the division, that said a lot to me. Even though I lost via TKO, that still said a lot to me. And I knew when I left and I recovered and I was all well, I said, I'm going to see you again. And when I do, it's going to be completely different.
It might be a difficult question to answer, but what's it kind of like when you get your shot? You get your shot at a guy in the top. I think Luque was 11 in the world, if memory serves, at that time. You get your shot at a guy where you want to get to into the rankings, but then training camp, weight cut, all of that goes against you, and you're going in there, presumably in the back of your mind, knowing you are compromised and that you're not 100%. What's that like?
It is what it is, and it sucks because you just got to take it. You just got to take it. And then say anything else besides that afterwards, you just sound like you're making excuses.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't want to come out and be that guy to be like, oh, because of this. And because I knew how it sounded, so I just kind of like, all right, whatever. I just took it on the chin, but I knew, my coaches knew, we all knew. It's like, all right, you got that one. You got that one, but trust me. I don't want to take anything away from him at all. That is a fucking savage, right? He's as good as they come regardless. Yeah. But I also know where I stand and I know who I am, so it sucked. It sucked. That's what it's like. It sucks.
Well, listen, we're on this 2-fight win streak now. We're going into hopefully the third win on the bounce. I'd just like to very quickly before we end talk about one of your fight traditions that you give away, your fight kit. You give away your gloves and your kit and all of that to a fan. I think it's now a fan or a subscriber of your podcast.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how that kind of tradition began and kind of how much that means to you to be able to give your kit away to a fan.
I don't even remember how it started. Honestly, we just started doing it. I think initially it was like, I had a YouTube channel and it was like I wanted to start promoting it somehow. And I figured, hey, to let people know that I'm doing it, go there and subscribe and watch my stuff. And I'll pick a random commenter. But then it became something else. I started during the podcast, during the shows, I created a Discord server, you know what I mean? And we created this community of people who they're my friends now. They're just like my people, you know what I mean? That I call them the Rude Gang, all right? So shout out to the Rude Gang, right? And we just have a lot of fun banter back and forth, you know what I mean? We talk about the fights, whenever I go live on Twitch, they all join in and we all chat every day. So it became a thing where I just started giving them away stuff. I started giving them stuff, just for their loyalty, just for supporting me, through thick and thin and just being around and just having laughs and stuff like that. So it became something else, which was cool. So ever since that's just what it's been. So I give away to them. I give away to my random YouTube commenters. I always just give away my fight kit at the end now because I have so much. I have so many fight kits. Obviously I love the memories and everything. But if I can give away something from it, if everyone can feel special, why not?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Is the plan to do it for this upcoming fight?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I'm going to give it away after this fight. All you got to do is go to my Instagram. I'll do the whole instructions. You know how I do, and then people go comment, subscribe, like, and chat, and and then I'll give away pieces, piece by piece, give away the fight kit, the gloves, and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think that's the best place for us to end, is the thought of potentially Randy Brown fans watching this fight in anticipation of winning your kit. So as I always say, thank you very much for your time. It's always a pleasure catching
No
up,
problem,
and
man.
I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Before we finish, Randy, how can people find you on social media? And if you want to shout out the podcast or anything like that, the floor is yours.
You can find me on Instagram at touchandgo_. Also, if you want to follow my camp and my journey to UFC 274, I do that on YouTube as well. Link should be in my bio on my Instagram, or just go to Rude Boy TV. And podcast is on Twitch. Everything's in my bio on Instagram. So just check me out there.